Hey, how's it going guys? This is Yuskux. So first of all, I want you to know that making this video doesn't mean that I don't like Japan. And of course I've had the privilege of having lived in Japanese traditions and cultures, and there is absolutely no regret that I was born and raised in Japan. So as a Japanese man, I never even thought about this, but I actually just realized there are so many things that makes Japanese traditions and cultures very unique. So as I grew up in Japan, I never really questioned these Japanese traditions and cultures. So in this video, I would like to share 5 things that make Japan very unique. And I think I talked about this in the previous video or a few videos ago. In Japan, it's really hard for them to accept the new things, and they basically tend to stick on their traditions. They're not intend to be, but they also tend to be a very shy. Like I said, shy is beautiful. It's almost like how they react to foreign people makes them think shy is very beautiful. If you say that is in the good way, very polite and humble people. In the bad way, they're very stubborn and hard-headed. So that explains how Japanese traditions and cultures inherited and succeeded for a long time. Even in this 21st century, they're basically having a hard time to adjust their cultures to outside Japan. In my opinion, Japan, this is the time, take a step forward. But yeah, it takes a while. Alright, so that's probably enough to do an introduction. So let's get started. One of the biggest differences between the Western foreigners come to visit Japan and the way the Japanese being is tattoo. You probably would know this, like if you visit Japan, most of the majority of people in Japan, they're Japanese. As I mentioned in introduction, Japanese are very strict and stick into their traditions and cultures. So when you have this idea, it's gonna be last forever. I actually didn't know this fact until some point of my life, but tattoo is not acceptable in onsen. It wasn't actually really a big deal for me, and I never even thought about it's gonna be a big deal for someone who live on earth. It basically never bothers me because I don't have tattoo and I never had tattoo. I didn't have to have a tattoo. In Japan, tattoos being stigmatized for their association with organized crime gangs, which is called Yakuza, or in proper Japanese pronunciation, Yakuza. They actually pledge that they are part of the group or make an oath to the boss by full body markings. So back in the day in Japan, lots of people, as soon as they look at their body and they have a tattoo on their bodies, the people think that you are a part of the group of Yakuza. So basically whenever you're trying to go to onsen, they gonna reject you that if you have tattoos. This is probably annoying for Western foreigners because there's so many people, they have tattoos on their bodies, and I understand why Japanese don't like the people who have tattoos to be on onsen, public bathhouse. But what I don't understand is there are the people from the countries where do have religion, they have tattoos on their bodies because of the religious background, like religious reason. And I was like, come on Japan, you can at least like make an exception, like those people who have religious reasons and there's no other way to get rid of the tattoos. I feel so bad that if they don't know what the Japanese tradition and cultures about onsen and they have tattoos, they come to Japan and they trying to get to know about the cultures in Japan. One of them is onsen, and they don't even get to onsen because of their tattoos. That's something that makes Japan very unique. If you know a little bit about Japan, you probably know the Japanese has formal Japanese and informal Japanese. They make speaking Japanese complicated enough, but that's not the end. In formal Japanese, there are 3 ways of formal Japanese, and it makes a lot of people confused. Those 3 formal Japanese are called Teinego, Kenjogo, and Sonkeigo. As long as I understand, Sonkeigo is the highest level, like the extreme, like polite and showing the respect. And Kenjogo is in the middle, and Teinego is the lowest. And other than that, they're basically categorized in informal Japanese. I think having 3 different formal languages, I think it's a good to have it, but sometimes I feel like it's too much, and I feel like it's outdated. But sometimes I feel like, man, Japan, come on, you can be a little more flexible. So as you guys know, Valentine's Day is February 14th. In Western culture, as I live in America, you probably give rose, chocolate, sweets. It doesn't really matter if you give from men or women. It's basically the time of sharing your love to others or your families or friends. On the other hand, Japan has a little bit unique Valentine's Day tradition. Most likely you just give a chocolate. There was a time back in the day in Japan, all the sweets companies and the pastry chefs, they have strategies in their marketing strategies. They thought that this is a good idea to advertise the people to do giving the Valentine's Day gifts to men from women. It's pretty odd, isn't it? But it's true. And as I told you this in the previous video, Japan have their own terms that is from English. Originally, we call that Janglish or Japanglish. And in Janglish, chocolate is actually we call choco. There are 2 types of chocolate or choco in Japan. One is honmei choco or giri choco. This honmei choco is used for girls who are trying to confess their feelings to a man who this girl likes him. When she wants to be in a serious relationship with this guy, and she basically give this honmei choco to this guy as her confession of love. And that's one of the ways that girls confess their feelings to guys. And this giri choco is used for girls who are not really serious about to be in a relationship with each other. Or sometimes, people feel it's awkward to not giving chocolate or gifts on Valentine's Day. You can give them giri choco. But actually, this is the most interesting tradition in Japan about Valentine's Day, because when you have Valentine's Day on February 14th, if you a woman, you give something to a guy on that day. But just think about this for a moment. When a woman gives something to a guy, how about a guy? A guy is not gonna give something back to a woman on the Valentine's Day? No worries, there is another day. That's the day a man can give something back to a woman, and that is on 14th of March. And if you got something from a woman, you can use the white day as an opportunity to give something back to a woman. The day is only for those who received on February 14th. Isn't that a great tradition? I think bathing is worldwide the custom to do, but one thing about it makes Japanese very unique. What would you do if you go to public bath? Of course you take a bath, but with or without clothes. Because in Japan, you take a bath without any clothes, even in the public, even there's so many people around. It's basically separated by the men's section and the women's section. The Western foreigners come around to take a bath in the public bath, and it's a little bit unusual, I guess, and it's a little bit awkward, but no worries, there is a towel is prepared. So you could use the towel to hide your private part, so you don't have to much worry about you seeing somebody's private part. So I definitely understand those who have never been to Japan and never been to public bath by yourself, and people like, but I don't want to see somebody's private part. It's so disgusting, awkward. So for those people who say like that, get over it. As you know, in Japan there's a magical toilet. For those who never been to Japan, toilet in Japan is literally, it's just amazing. I actually never thought that the toilet was amazing when I was in Japan, because I pretty much grew up with it and I didn't have to think about it. But basically when I turned to the age of 17, I went to outside Japan for the first time. I hit something like a big wall of culture differences. In the Western countries, They don't even have bidet. Why? And that was my biggest question ever. I still don't get it. Because that's one of the greatest inventions in Japan. And Japan has had that for ages. I just don't understand why. I really don't understand why. In some Western countries, they finally start accepting that the toilet with bidet. So those who never seen the bidet toilet, I mean, it's not ordinary bidet toilet in Japan. It's completely different. One of the biggest bidet toilet company in Japan, they named brand of the toilet is called the washlet. And the washlet is basically has a plenty of button that you can choose to wash your butt and dry out your butt. You can even listen to the sound of the water is flowing, so you don't have to hear that somebody's doing it. And there's a seat warmer that warms the seat, so you don't have to worry about in winter that you sit down on the toilet, it's freezing cold. Also recently they actually started making more like automatic the lid opener as well, so you can just walk into the toilet and so the lid opens automatically. So guys, this is the end of the video. Of course there's so many more interesting, fascinating things in Japan, and I would like to tell you more, but for now I'm just gonna hold my horses. So if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and if you have any question about Japan, or if you think that what I said in this video is wrong, please let me know in the comment down below. And thanks for watching, and stay skunks, enjoy your day, peace.